What is going on, everybody? And listening to episode 1 of Blue Line Radio. I appreciate you guys being here. This is 5 years in the making since I started doing podcasts. I wanted to start this little series. I feel like it is what I initially thought it would be, but I had to wait for the right co-host, the right brother of mine who was interested and down to do this show. I am Mike Hughes, aka the Shy Kid, sitting here with the legend himself of one of the greatest Chicago baseball teams, Chicago Elite, Miles Porter, diehard Cubs fan. Miles, how you feeling, baby?
Feeling good, man. I'm super happy to be here and excited to do this with you, man. This is something that I've been looking forward to since you and I started talking about it. You and I are both very passionate about this team and baseball in general, so I'm excited to get into it. There's a lot to break down about our beloved Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, man. I feel like it's crazy to even talk about this happening because Blue Line Radio is something I even talked to Kevin, our boy Kevin Lapka, about. Works at CHSN, does amazing things. He's one of the greats. But I've been talking to him about like, man, I want to do Blue Line Radio so bad. Just didn't want to do it by myself. You know what I mean? And met Miles a
Yeah,
couple years ago doing the At Bat Pod with Gabriel Wilkins and Saul Rodriguez, who also does amazing things as well. Gabe as well. Gabe's doing the new 24 pod.
yeah,
Saul, I mean, come on, Saul's marquee network famous right now on Twitter. And obviously he does amazing things at CHSN. But it's really cool, man, to really see me and you be able to just create this after, I mean, multiple summers spending in the bleachers,
yeah,
just hanging out as much as possible, even in
yeah,
April, when there's nothing going on in April, but me and you were there to heckle Doyle and everybody else in that outfield every single night.
yeah,
But it's going to be fun, man. If for people who are tuning in and are new to the program, man, I mean, we're boots on the ground. And I think you can listen to a lot of Chicago Cubs podcasts and you can get a lot of different perspectives. But for us, man, I mean, interviewing fans, Miles has been there, helped me record countless times. We're going to have a lot of guests of top prospects, former faces of the league, and obviously, just some diehard Cubs fans who want to come on and talk ball. I think that's really everything for me, man. So doing this with you, I know you said it at the top, but it's an honor for me, brother, to do this show with you because I know how passionate you are. It was a crazy year though, man. Crazy year for the boys in blue. Obviously,
yeah,
I want to start this and give our condolences and our prayers for the Rhino family and everybody who was impacted
yeah,
by the passing of Ryan Sandberg. And I think for me, man, like that was a moment in our relationship as friends that like I'll never forget. It was me, you, and my girl that pulled up to the
yeah,
game, or not the game, to the ballpark to go see the memorial and just really just feel that, you know what I mean? So like
yeah.
it was crazy to see that type of season, the season that we had for a multitude of reasons, man. But if I had to give you the opportunity to give one word on the 2025 season, what word would you pick?
Oh, I think. Oh, that's a good question. The first word that comes to mind, I'm probably gonna regret this in about a day or two when I think about it. Emotional.
Mm,
I think this is like a very like in more so when I think about the emotion part, specifically when it comes to Rhino, when we see Riz come back to Wrigley and get honored by the Cubs, these things bring up emotions. Either these are players that had such an impact on us as people, not only the Chicago Cubs, but their leadership, what they did in the community. Um, so emotional for me. For me, this is a bit of an emotional year, just with so many transitions as we're seeing this young core develop and you know sprout in front of us. It's been really
mhm.
cool, man. So I've had a lot of emotions, a lot of emotions. The playoffs, it's just
Yep.
it's been a year of just ups and downs, but a lot of good things as well, but a lot of emotions this year.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. And I also think like the part that goes into that as well. I mean, you and I shared a moment of history with a friend of the pod, Justin Steele, man of Steel himself, the Mississippi fastball. We were there for history,
Yeah,
and we got the Cubs dub. It was what, April, late
yeah,
April, early May,
yeah. This is
and
last start, I believe, as well.
and that's what I'm saying is like it was his last start. We
Yeah,
saw history for him, and then goes down with Tommy John. It was very emotional, and then of course, like the man who wears his emotions on his sleeve, PCA,
yeah,
to finally see a guy who really just gives it his all. I mean, I absolutely loved it. It's emotional is the best word I feel like you can get from this. I think it takes me back to Game 7 where Riz is like, I'm in a glass case of emotions right now to David Ross
yeah,
and Tommy La
yeah,
Stella, and you're like, Yeah, man,
Yeah,
that's really how I felt, man. I mean, hell, even my mom and I, man. I mean, we went to the Rizzo retirement game, and she's getting emotional, she's crying during the tribute video. I'm crying, everyone in
yeah,
the whole ballpark's crying, and then
yeah.
Moises Ballesteros hits his first career home run, and Anthony Rizzo almost catches it, and it's just like such a poetic season, man, in so many different ways. But the boys in blue start out this season red hot. I mean, we're talking as hot as possible. One of the best teams in baseball. Kind of
Yeah.
had a shaky second half. I think a lot of players kind of went back to who they are, and the other ones just kind of, felt reality for a little bit. But the boys in blue finished in second in the National League Central to the Milwaukee Brewers at first place. Ended up losing in Game 5 of the NLDS, 92-70 record overall. Miles, what do you think you would give the 2025 Chicago Cubs for a grade if you had to give the team as a whole?
I'm teetering between an A and an A minus.
Mm, okay.
I I am I am extremely proud of how this group really came together. Now, was it a bit it was a bit frustrating for a lot of reasons in that second half, for many different reasons that I'm sure you and I are going to get into.
Mhm.
But to see this nucleus really perform the way they did in the first half, and seeing certain players come into themselves, Pete Crow Armstrong, Michael Bush, right? These are really cool stories, and pillars of this current ball club too. So that has been, and like I said, yes, there's frustration in that second half for many different reasons, but I got to give him like an A minus. I mean, this is we expected a winning ball club. Yes, the playoffs is the expectation for the Chicago Cubs. But to still see them, take care of the Padres in the first round, obviously the DS didn't go the way that we wanted it to. We'll be back next year. I totally believe in this ball club.
Mhm.
Yeah, A or A minus, probably more of an A minus because of that second half not really going the way we all really wanted it to.
Yeah.
I think if we perform a little bit better in the second half, maybe we're in a little bit of a better position in October. And I think the deadline also goes in that, and a few other variables. So that's what I
Yeah.
think.
I B plus is where I want to be,
Okay.
but I go A minus because it's been so long since we made October. And you have to think about it that way, because I could
Yeah.
sit here with the Dodgers Yankees fan mentality of like, it's World Series or bust. But in all actuality, it really wasn't. This core is super young. A lot of guys that are in this core, one, didn't start the majority of this season, and two, are just coming into themselves. And even if we're going to be quite honest, there's a few guys that were still in AAA: Kevin Alcantara, Owen Casey, Jackson Wiggins, Moises Ballesteros for the most part, that still haven't
Hmm.
made it to the big. So I'm not going to sit here and say that the season's over, and that we're going into a rebuild whatsoever, because the future is as bright as ever. And I'm going to give it that A minus, but I want to
Yeah.
give it a B plus because you and I have talked about it a million times. You still didn't win the division, not because you weren't better than the Brewers, not because the Brewers were the best team in baseball, which they were, but it was because you lost games against teams you need to beat. And those were the
Yeah.
easy ones. You can't go tick for tack with the Dodgers and the Brewers all season long and then lose to the Nationals and then lose to the Rockies and then lose to the Angels or all these other teams. And you're kind of just sitting around and you're like, damn, man. Like, I mean, these are the games that are going to come back and bite you in the ass. So that for me is something that I feel like this ball club is still figuring out. You and I know as ball players, I mean, it's 162 games, man. So you know what I mean? You're not going to take every single
Yeah.
one personally, but when
Sure.
it's the Milwaukee Brewers or the St.
Hmm.
Louis Cardinals in your division that are red hot, you got to understand every game matters. And you and I both experienced that games at Wrigley are insanely important in October. I
Yeah.
mean, Screaming Freddy at the top of our lungs in Game 4, getting to see that, getting to experience that again for the first time in forever. It was incredible, man. I mean, it takes you back to 2016, and it reminds me so much of even the other day. We had the 9-year anniversary of Miguel Montero's grand slam, followed by
Crazy.
Dexter Fowler's back-to-back jack. That when I
Thank you
was
for
at
mentioning
the game,
that too. People forget that.
you have to, because I remember to this day looking at my mom and being like, why is Dexter Fowler rounding third right now? And none of us knew why. And I'm like, oh my
Hmm.
God, he just went back to back. And I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of people didn't even know he did until a few minutes later when you looked at the
Yeah.
score. So shout out Dex. Shout out Dex. It would
Yeah.
be an absolute blessing if we could ever have Mr. Fowler. But no, man,
She would.
I give it an A minus 1,000%. And that's really how I view the 2025 season, man. But let's get into October, baby. Let's get
Let's
into
do it.
some
Let's do it.
conversations because
Let's do it. Let's
I
do it.
think there was a lot of different emotions throughout this. It definitely felt like two different ball clubs, especially
Yes.
in the wild card. So we'll get into the San Diego series first.
Yeah.
We end up figuring it out in game 3. We win. Miles, take me through your emotions during that San Diego series. And I mean, how do you think everybody performed for the most part? Was it up to par of what you expected? You know, we saw some openers. We saw openers in do or die games. So how did you feel about the managing of the Chicago Cubs and overall the performance of the team?
I think I think I think the worst managed game was definitely game two.
Mhm.
But I mean it was pretty close games in all three. I mean, game one, I was at game one. I thought that game was managed just fine. Overall, I mean, it's just timely hitting and incredible pitching. I think it's just I know that people are very hard on Craig Counsell right now, and
Sure.
I don't know if I'm on that train. I wasn't exactly pissed off that Shota Minaga pitched to Manny Machado in that one scenario in game two. I don't know if I'm mad about that. And maybe that kind of and I don't know, maybe that's a hot take.
Yeah.
But I kind of it was kind of nice to see Craig Counsell just think to himself, you know what? If Shota is cruising right now, if I believe in him, I'm gonna let him go
Yeah.
instead of making a decision only based on the numbers. Numbers are important. I respect that, but it was cool to kind of see him. In my opinion, it was cool to see him like, okay, you know what, Shota, go give him your stuff. Let's see what happens. Like,
Yeah.
come on. I I don't know. Me personally, I'd much rather see that than I forgot who was on deck after Machado, but I liked seeing Craig Counsell show confidence in Shota in that moment.
Yeah.
Um, Despite some of the struggles that he had in that last stretch of the season. Overall, I could not be more happy, and I think Andrew Kittredge, a guy that's coming out of the pinch, I think that he needs a lot of credit as well. I thought that he was, for the most part, pretty solid during that wild card series, right?
Yeah.
So I it was a very fun series. I had a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun
Yeah.
watching these boys.
For sure. Now, to look back on that, the lineup was Fernando Tatis Jr., who
Okay.
completely MIA, Luis Arias, Manny
Yes.
Machado, Jackson Merrill. I think I mean, I'm going to be completely honest. I was at game 2, which was completely frustrating. And it was the reason I spent so much money
Yeah.
to go to game 4 against Milwaukee because I was like, no, I'm not going to be here for the Cubs loss in
Yeah.
2025. So luckily we got the dub in game 4 against the Brewers. That was awesome. But let's get back to game 2. I think the Manny Machado
Okay.
conversation pissed me off because my cousin Kyle and Ryan and I all went to the game. And the funniest part was my cousin Kyle, he kind of like, he'll turn to you and he'll ask you, he's double fisting a drink. I don't know how many drinks he had at this point of the game. It's early, but my cousin Kyle can throw down. I'll tell you that much. Shout out Kyle, by the way. But hero of the city. He looks at me. He goes, Mike, what do we do? I looked at him. I go, hit him. And he was like, what? You mean walk him? I go, no, hit him. Because it's Manny Machado. Fuck Manny
Yeah.
Machado. That's where I'll leave it at that. But, you know, immediately after I say hit him, you just hear and it's gone.
Yeah.
And my cousin Kyle goes, looks like we should have hit him. And I go, yeah, it looks like hey, you would have hit him, or even just walk him, man. In all seriousness, obviously you don't want to see anybody get hurt, but you got to walk Machado in that instance, especially with just
That's
who
fair.
he is, man. I mean, Miles, you played the position a long time. Love him
Hmm.
or hate him, he's one of the best third basemen I've ever seen in my entire life. You know what I
Oh my
mean? And,
gosh.
and
Yeah.
for Schroeder to see him in what I am, if I'm not mistaken, was the third time. That was the third time he faced him in that game. I'm not quite sure if that was the right move for Craig, especially because Shota has just been giving up homers left and right all season.
That's
But
fair. Yeah.
it is what it is at the end of the day, man. You live or die by it. I think for me, the thing with Counsell, especially in that wild card series, really was opening with Kittredge because Kittredge had pitched the night before. I mean, if we're giving an
Yeah.
MVP
Yeah.
for October, it's Nico Horner and Andrew Kittredge. I think
Yeah.
that's just where I'd leave it. I think at the end of the day, you understand that Cade Horton going down, it wasn't anticipated, and you and I will dedicate an episode to the fractured ribs of Cade Horton because we were at the
Absolutely.
game. We were at the game when he got
We were
called
at that
out,
game too. Oh my
and
gosh.
we were at the game where he got pulled out against the Mets, and we didn't really understand what was going on there because he was cruising prior to that. But I definitely do think, man, at the end of the day, the opener stuff in October, it's just not what I want to see, especially when you have Javier Assad and Ben Brown and all these different guys. And I understand, like, you might not want to trust Ben Brown in certain instances, but I don't know, man. It just rubbed me the wrong way. So that's how I viewed that wild card series. Let's get into Milwaukee. Let's get dirty
Let's
a little
do it.
bit. Let's
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 do it.
talk
Let's
about
do
let's
it.
get into some shit because the current 0-3 Milwaukee Brewers are still flying the W. Haven't stopped, and won't stop for quite some time. I feel like their time's coming up short. I think they're gonna get swept by the by the Los Angeles Dodgers. But the Chicago Cubs, man, put up a fight. Did not win a single game at Milwaukee, but I mean, hey, we showed up when it mattered most in Chicago, baby. And it was a blessing to be able to see that game 4 in person. But can you kind of take me through this Milwaukee series? Miles, first question, is it a rivalry? Do you see after game 5 it now being a rivalry?
I really want to say it's going to be a rivalry. I think that there's always been something there for the most part. Them flying the L definitely makes it personal. Now, I don't want to go into a whole different direction,
Sure,
right?
sure.
And you and I, we kind of talk about this off air.
Go there,
The
Miles.
Cubs, the
Miles, take it to the
Cubs,
direction. Take it
the
there.
Cubs are my heart and soul, right?
Mm,
They're a very respectful, sort of friendly team,
yeah.
not really going to ruffle the feathers of the other team. There's no one on this team that's going to hit a home run and really pimp it. I mean, PCA, I think he's pimped a few. Um, I saw Kyle Tucker maybe pimp one or a few. We don't know if he's going to be here next year. That's another conversation as well.
Well, we saw
Um,
Kyle Tucker pimping walks in October, which kind of pissed me off. I was like, are we I mean, hey,
pissed
Billy
off
Bean,
William Contreras too.
yeah, Billy Bean said it best, man. He gets on base, and that's all we want. But I had to
Yeah,
point that out because that I was kind of like embarrassed for ourselves. I was like, oh,
yeah. I mean, it was kind of cringy. I I don't know, man. I think that there is, but I know that there is amongst the fans, right? There's
yeah.
definitely something there. But wait till we go to Milwaukee next year.
Mm,
What? When the Cubs beat the Brewers in Milwaukee next year at some point, you know how many W flags you're gonna see at American Family Field, Miller
mm.
Park. So
Wrigley North. I mean,
there you go. So yes, but I don't know if it's there as much amongst the players because I don't really get that vibe from this current group of Cubs. They're not really gonna ruffle your feathers. They're not really gonna they go about their business or they're a lot of quiet, soft-spoken guys.
yeah.
I just want to see it amongst the players a little bit more because we know it's gonna get cracking with the fans.
And that's exactly what I wanted to ask you, and you hit it on the head. And obviously, you and I say things off air about this organization and about certain people in this organization that may or may not live and breathe baseball. I don't question your work ethic. I don't question you wanting to be there, but I do question how much you truly care about the
Hmm.
game.
Hmm.
And for me, man, you fly that L and you hang up that fucking phone, and I'm thinking about you every single day until we see each other again. And that's the kind of person I am. And it's not in a negative way. Like, I don't hate this guy forever, but it's something you use as fuel when
Oh,
I'm
but
in the gym,
yeah.
when we're at the cages, whatever, even if we're just playing toss, man. Like, let's get into it. Like, let's take it personally. That's how you need to be. It's we've seen it time and time again. The great ones always say you gotta create something out of nothing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And I mean, Michael
yeah,
Jordan will tell you a million times some dude didn't look at him the right way, and he would just, oh man, I'm giving this guy 50 tomorrow. Or Kobe would create
yeah,
stories in his head. It
yeah.
makes sense. And certain guys on this team, and do I want to name a few? I don't think I'll name a few, but I think if you know, you know. There's a few guys on this team that I think saw that L flag, took their uniforms off, put on their street clothes, went home and read a book and that was it. You know what I mean? And we'll return next year, and that's just it. You know what I mean? Like, oh well, we live
Yeah.
to see another day. But I know a guy
Yeah.
like PCA, because I won't name who I don't think cares about the whole rivalry. But I know a guy like PCA is going to spend the entire winter thinking about that L flag. I know he is,
Yes.
because he's a
Yes.
psycho in all the best ways. I
Hmm.
know he cares. I know he wants to show out every single night. He wants to stunt on everybody. And that's
Yes.
why what I love about him. Nico, I could see it out of Nico. Justin Steele, oh my gosh. I mean, Justin Steele is
Yes.
probably itching to get back on the field right now. And I see he's throwing a little toss here and there. I
Yeah.
dig
Yeah.
it. I dig it. I love the IG
Hmm.
videos. But yeah, man. I mean, that's just where I'm at with that. You know exactly how I feel. And maybe one day,
Yeah.
maybe we'll wait until the 2026 season for me to really start calling people out of their name, but it's way too
Yeah.
early in the offseason to be this mad still. But you know what I mean? There's a couple
You know,
guys
I thought
who
you were gonna say it too. I was like, oh, he's about to drop it like
I
it's
thought of
hot.
I thought about it, man, but it's like some of them actually did show up in October. So it kind
Yeah,
of
for
changed
sure.
my perspective. Like,
Yeah.
look, and it's unrelated to the topic at hand, but we went into this season, and I say it every single year, and we're gonna talk about him next. I said Ian Happ has been a part of this organization for 9 years.
Yeah.
I looked at you, Mark, Justin, and Kevin in the bleachers, and I said, tell me your favorite Ian Happ moment. When Ian Happ retires from the league, saying he spent over 9 years in the Cubs organization, what is the Ian Happ moment? And Justin, shout out Justin, because Justin can always give you an answer. He'll tell you, oh, the opening day home run against Miami, this, and that. I mean, yeah, sure. But what is the moment? I mean, Anthony Rizzo, the final out, Kyle Schwarber, 2015 home runs, Jake
Hmm.
Arrieta, no hitters. I mean, we can go all day long. PCA, I mean, fuck it. Even Carson Kelly went for the cycle. The Carson Kelly game, we'll never forget it.
Yeah.
But it's like, Ian Happ being here 9 years, where's the moment? And then in October with our backs against the wall, he shows up, changes my perspective on Ian Happ. Now, obviously, we still have a lot of conversations about what the future holds, but a lot of guys changed my perspective. He was one of them, so I want to give Ian Happ his flowers because Miles
Yeah.
knows I never give Ian Happ his flowers. So I do want to say, I mean, it was a rough October, but when it mattered
Yeah.
most, Ian showed up.
Yes.
Um, so let's get into it, man. I want to talk about grades. I want to get
Sure.
into
Let's do it.
the grades of the 2025 Chicago Cubs. First off,
Okay.
I think we should start with the rotation. I'm going to
Okay.
start with the man from Cleveland, Matthew Boyd, all-star Matthew Boyd at 34
Yeah.
years old. Didn't pitch a lot in 2024, goes into October not really knowing what they were going to get out of him. He deals. He's an absolute stud. We end up getting him on a multi-year deal. Let's break down Matthew Boyd's all-star season. A 3.21 ERA, 31 games started. It's 179.2 innings pitched, 154 hits allowed, 69 runs, 19 home runs given up. I mean, the stuff was electric, though, from Matthew Boyd
Yeah.
first half of this year. Arguably one of the best pitchers in baseball. Second half,
Absolutely.
big drop. What would you give Matthew Boyd's grade for 2025?
B plus. B plus for sure.
Yeah.
I he was a pleasant surprise this year. He really was. He was a guy that I wasn't expecting much out of. To me, he was going to be sort of a guy that would just kind of like a spot starter for the most part, kind of just a
Sure.
guy sort of fill up that role, one of those rotational roles. I absolutely loved watching Matt Boyd pitch this year and just seeing his stuff move and the way he's able to locate. I think maybe he ran out of steam a little bit there towards the later half of the season. But I think Matt Boyd was a very pleasant surprise. I mean, thank goodness we had him. Have the electric stuff that he had, despite some struggles going on with some other things we had going on in the rotation.
Mhm.
So B plus. I would have given him an A, but I think we had a pretty gnarly dip there towards the last part of the season.
Yeah. I mean, October with Matthew Boyd on the bump, I felt like if you would have told me in July he was your game one starter, I would have said, let's run it. And then going into that Brewers series, I was actually terrified Matthew Boyd being on the mound because
Yeah.
it was just such a different night and day between the first half of the year and the second half of the year. But honestly,
Yeah.
Miles, I think we're going to have kind of a very consistent conversation with a lot of these guys because the first half of the year, I feel like for the entire ball club, I mean, it was night and day for every single player for the most part. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
other than maybe we can get into Matt Shaw in a little bit, but Matt Shaw did have a hell of a second half. But
Mhm.
next up, man, sorry. Let me backtrack. I'm gonna keep mine short and sweet. Giving him an A. Giving Matthew Boyd an A. And I think I'm giving
Yeah.
him an A because I didn't think he was going to be an all-star. I remember laying in my bed when I was playing the show and I texted you when we got Matthew Boyd. It was like 12 a.m., something like that. And I was like, what the fuck? Because we gave him so much money. And I was like, hey, is this even going to work out? That man took my quote and ran with it. He said, bet,
Mhm.
take it to the bank. End up being game one starter. Obviously, a lot went into that for him to be the game one starter, but it is what it
Yeah.
is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he earned it, man. Being an all-star was not
You
on
did.
my bingo card in 2025 whatsoever.
Mhm.
Next up, though, man, the guy who I felt like was going to have a huge year too, Shota Imanaga. What would
Mm.
you give Mike's year two? You're looking at a 3.73 ERA in 25 games, 144.2 innings pitched, 117 hits with 117 strikeouts. So, I mean, a
Mm.
lot of home runs given up for Shota Imanaga. He gave up
Yeah.
31 home runs in 2025. Gave
Yeah.
up even more in October, one crucial one to Manny Machado. What are you giving Shota in year two?
I think, ooh, I don't know, man. Shorter really wasn't missing that many bats
Yeah.
this year. He was finding a lot of barrels. I B minus for the most part because I also do recognize that he was coming off of an injury. He wasn't really the same after that.
Mhm.
But this stuff really wasn't all that great this
Yeah.
year. By the way, that really hurts me to say because I love
Yeah.
Shota Imanaga. He is one of the personality guys that this team needs. He is someone who I cherish because he brings so much personality when he's pitching and his little poses. If he wants, is it a ball or a strike, and he kind of holds it. I just, man, I love Shota Imanaga.
Or October, yummy, and I was like,
You know
"Ooh,
what
yummy."
I mean?
I was like, "Yes,
Man,
yes, Shota."
man, dude, I love Shota, man. But yeah, I think I gotta go like B minus. I think it's just
Yeah,
the stuff wasn't there all that much this year. Wasn't getting a lot of strikeouts. Was not missing a lot of bats.
mm,
And it ended up hurting him and costing us in a few ways. But I have all the confidence in the world. That first of all, they're gonna pick up his team option for next year. Second of all, that he's gonna come back a solid ball player. I think we saw a sophomore slump and it's only up from here. I really
yeah,
do believe that.
for sure. I'm gonna give his acting an A plus because the Go Cubs Go singing in the shower commercial, 10 out of 10. But
Can I get a poster of
as
that
a
in my room?
Oh, need it, need it.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna go on eBay and I'm gonna buy the commercial worn or
yeah.
not game used, but the commercial worn slippers that he wore in the shower.
Oh, nice,
I
nice.
need them autographed. I need them autographed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The rubber duck, I need it. I need it. No,
I gotta
man,
make sure
but
Canberra is okay with it. Okay, I'll check in with her and then I'll get
gotta
back
ask,
to the audience.
gotta
Yeah,
ask. If you can, bro,
yeah.
you can come visit it all the time at my house.
Okay, okay, bet. All right, yeah.
We'll just make sure. We'll keep it on the low.
All right.
No, man, but I definitely do think I'd give him a C. I think especially because you look at the all-star caliber year that he had last year. It was interesting because I think when we brought in Shota, the conversation was he gives up a lot of home runs. And I think
Yeah,
we didn't see that at all in 2024. It felt
yeah.
like the scouting report on Shota Imanaga prior to joining the Cubs was the complete opposite of what we saw last year, but it was exactly what we saw this year. And I think a part
Yeah,
of that kind of just comes with really having film on guys. You know what I mean? People really didn't know who Shota Imanaga was to that degree.
yeah.
And also we had probably the craziest year weather-wise in 2024 at Wrigley
Oh
Field
my
for the Chicago
goodness.
Cubs. And I think that definitely crucially helped Shota Imanaga and many other pitchers. I'm not making that case to why he was an all-star and a Cy Young candidate and a Rookie of the Year candidate because he was just that good in general, whether he was here or
Yeah,
away. I'm not saying the weather is why Shota was good, but like it definitely contributed to keeping the ball in the yard.
yeah.
So I definitely do think this year definitely hurt, and I think it was kind of more of like a, you know, come back down to earth moment. So I'll give him a C, but I love Showtime. I'll be there for him throughout the rest of his career. No one will ever make me hate Shota.
Right.
Next
Impossible.
up, man, I mean, Jameson Tyone, 33 years old now. He's year three as a Chicago Cub, 23 games this year. I mean, not looking great. 3.68 ERA, kind of what you expect out of him at this point.
Yeah.
129 innings pitched. You're looking at 98 Ks. I mean, and when I say not looking great, it's because the Ks weren't there. It's really what it is. Now, I understand 23 games. You know what I mean? It is what it is at the end of the day. But
Yeah.
it does feel like going into next year, Tyone's probably your fifth starter. I don't know if you would agree, but what grade would you give Tyone this year?
Also like a B minus, and I originally it was probably going to be like a
Yeah.
C, but I mean, but what he did in the postseason, and how he stepped up, to me, that's kind of what saved my sort of outlook on Jameson Tyone.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird with Jamo because I think as much as this is what we were expecting out of him, I think there was still maybe an expectation for him to be like a little bit better at
Yeah.
times. I really do. I mean, like for me, what I was hoping out of Jamo, at least in his years with us, is like I don't know, bro. At the highest, he's toting like a 3.3 or a 3.4. Maybe that's asking for too much, but that's just something that I was expecting out of him in terms of average wise, and hasn't really been like that. I mean, last year, yes, he pitched great, but I mean, you look at. I mean, I said last year, 2024.
Yep.
But when you look at like 25 and you look at 2023, I
Yeah.
mean, it's been okay. It's been okay, but he has done his jobs in terms of eating up innings, and sort of giving the bullpen a break because
Yeah.
he can go pretty deep into games for the most part.
Yeah. Now we are going to speed this up a little bit because we have a lot more guys to get through.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to speak for myself and for Miles in this instance. Yeah, Ben Brown, F. I think we can move on from there. Miles, what do you think?
Yeah,
I think
agreed.
we're gonna go F. That's a good friend. I mean, a good friend of mine. Love Ben, but yeah, then we're just gonna go F there for now. I
Sure.
don't think the story is over for Ben Brown. I don't
No.
think it is. I think we're going to figure that out. We'll see what happens. Colin Ray, I
Eh,
think we're cool with. I'm a cool with a C. If you're cool with a C, what do you think?
yeah, yeah. I
Give
mean,
him, give him a
there wasn't much I was expecting out of Colin Ray this year.
yeah,
Like a C,
127
C plus.
Ks. Give him a
Yeah.
C. Yeah, I'm cool with that. Now I do want to talk about the National League Rookie of the Year, in my opinion.
Mm,
Cade Horton. You're looking at a
mm.
2.0 WAR, 11 wins, 4 losses, a 2.67 ERA, and 22 games started, 23 games in total, 118 innings pitched, and you're looking at 97 Ks. So to compare that, you have Jameson Tyone, who pitched in 129 innings and has 98 Ks. So I mean, if you would have gave Cade Horton a full season, I mean, who even knows? You know what I mean? So
Oh my
um,
goodness.
I'm gonna give Cade Horton an A for the 2025 season. I think
Hey,
he is the National League Rookie of the Year. I think there's no conversation about it. And anybody who wants to argue that, I would say look at Paul Skeens because Paul Skeens did not play the majority of the 2024 season and won Rookie of the Year. I'm going
yeah,
to be consistent. He's better than The Miz. He's better than anybody else in the National League who was a rookie. Cade Horton is the National League MVP. The stuff was nasty. I mean, we knew it coming out of college, coming into the Cubs organization. He is exactly who we expected him to be. He is the ace alongside Paul Skeens in the NL Central. And I'm very excited to see what the future holds. But Miles, what grade do you give Cade Horton?
bro, I'm giving him like an A plus, bro. He was absolutely outstanding, man. Shout out to my boy Kerry Horton. I mean, sorry, Cade Wood. Sorry, Cade Horton, young Kerry Wood.
Yeah.
Man, his stuff is electric, man. I loved it. There's not much even to say. I'm looking forward to seeing him sort of like take the lead on this rotation if that's what they want. But I think we're kind of going in that direction.
Yeah, I would love that. And I love that you say that because I remember I talked to you about it and we kind of both like just in unison agreed. Like the
Yeah,
stuff is not compared to Kerry Wood at all. They are very
no,
different players.
very
But
different.
when you look them in the eye, you just see Kid K and you just see
Yes.
the way he commands himself on the mound. It is a
Yeah.
FU mentality against any
Yeah.
hitter in the league. I love it, man. It's beautiful. But
It's important
I
for this
I
team.
think this next one, what I want to do here, I want to do it as a group because I think it's very hard throughout a season to talk about every single arm in the bullpen. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
I think
Yeah.
as a bullpen, what are you grading this bullpen? And we'll include Ryan Presley in this conversation. So
Oh,
let's
you don't jacked up my. All right. Okay.
nah, yeah, that kind of fucks up the vibe a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. It
I
it
was
went
talking
from
about.
it went from a solid B to maybe a D. I'm not gonna hold you.
You put Presley in there. You done dropped all the points for the grade. Now I
Yo, you
got a grade on a
scaring.
curve now.
They're like when you hang out with your boys, you're like you're scaring the hoes. Now Ryan Presley scares the hoes 100%.
Oh man. Ooh. I don't, bro. I feel like this bullpen was really good in the second half, like they always
Yeah.
are. I don't think I can give them anything less than like, bro. Anything less than a B, I think is
Mm,
unfair.
mm. Okay, I'm with
They,
it.
I just, yeah, man. Anything less than a B to me is just
Yeah.
is unfair. And I mean, a B minus, like okay, I'm cool with that too. I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? I don't know.
I think for me, you look at the Chicago Cubs opening day roster, and I
Yeah.
think when you make a trade for Ryan Presley and you kind of sell us on the idea that he's going to be your guy, um, kind of like Adbert Alzolay, we kind of just had Daniel Palencia fall into our laps and just be that guy. Like Gasolina's cool, like the walkout song is probably the best Wrigley's been in quite some time. I think we can all
Yeah.
agree on that. But
I have concerns about Palencia, but yeah, go ahead. We'll talk about that another
yeah,
time.
and that's also another part of it too. Is like, I mean, is he really your closer? Or is he just a guy who throws over 100 miles an hour? You know what I mean? Like, and that's really the conversation there. So like, the energy's there, the swag is there, but at the end of the day, I feel like I'm gonna give this bullpen a C, maybe a C minus, and I give them that C
Mm,
minus. That C minus is because of Ryan Presley. If you don't trade for Ryan Presley, mind you, you traded for him. Not that we traded much. I mean, maybe the kid was it a kid from Double A or Single A that we traded away. So it's like I'm not
yeah.
crying about it. You know what I mean? But it's like at the end of the day, Ryan Presley didn't even make it to August. And that to me was like, damn, like I really have no idea. Like, and we were begging for him to get DFA'd, mind you. Like this was not a harsh parting. Like this was something where we were like, yeah, he's buns, he's
It
toast.
wasn't working. It didn't work.
It's time to go. And that's really a problem for me because I felt like we needed to go into this season understanding that we have that guy who's going to be able to close out games. And going into October, I felt like it became even more frustrating because Palencia, obviously had that arm issue towards the end of the year. Yeah, Palencia coming out in the sixth inning. And it kind of just is like, okay, I trust Keller. Do I trust Keller? Theo Bar, I mean,
Yeah.
he's solid, but like, what are we doing? The man who saved the Chicago Cubs 2025 season in that bullpen was Andrew Kittredge. And I'm going to give him an A because what he was able to do in October, that is Mr. October. He gives Andrew Chafin vibes, but I mean, his stuff is just better. I mean, the man was just out there beating the odds, beating Father Time with a belt like my dad on Sundays when I was talking during the Bears game. I mean, the man was doing it. The man was wheeling and dealing, and without him, I don't think we go to a game 5 with Milwaukee. Without him, we probably don't even beat San Diego. So I want to give Andrew Kittredge his flowers, but that was a guy that we didn't really expect to really do
No.
anything. So that's where I'm at with that. Let's get into this lineup, baby. Let's talk about the
Do it.
boys. I want to start off
Let's
with the
do it.
Chicago man himself. A 3.6 WAR, 111 games played, 421 plate appearances, a cycle. I don't know how many walk-offs. I mean, we're looking at 17 home runs, 50 RBIs, a batting average of 249, an OBP of 333, slugging 428, OPS of 761. We're talking about Barry Bonds. We're talking about Carson Kelly, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna give Carson Kelly an A plus. That's Barry freaking Bonds in the 21st century, and I love it. I mean, it's incredible, man. So, Miles, what are you grading Carson Kelly?
I don't know why this when you said A plus, and I looked at his numbers and I saw 249 with 17 home runs, and it made me laugh.
Barry
Um,
fucking Bonds. Every game I went to, and this is why I'm biased. Every single game I went to, Carson Kelly was an absolute monster. First Cubs
mm,
cycle in over what I don't even know how long. I mean, he just, I mean, he did
it's
it
been
all,
yeah.
and he literally lived it. And he's a Chicago kid, so like, fuck it, why not? Extend him today.
He did a great job of stepping up when Mickey and Maya went down as well.
Yeah,
He really came into that role. Give him an A. I'll give him an A. I just thought he did such a great job behind the dish.
mhm,
And the offense was kind of it was a bit of an added bonus, and I think
yeah,
that's been sort of a desolate position in terms of offense for the Cubs in sometimes. So I've been A
yeah.
for me. I love Carson Kelly. I think he's
I
such
love
an
it.
important part of this team.
God, I'm gonna give guys like a B after this, but Carson Kelly got an A for his 249 batting average. Like
Bro,
y'all,
that's so
you
funny.
just you had to be there. Y'all don't know when I talk about the summer of Carson Kelly 15 years from now. Y'all not gonna believe me when I tell you the stories, man. Next up, man, 524 at bats, a 4.5
Mm,
WAR, arguably one of the best first basemen in baseball right now. 34 home runs, a 261 batting average, 78 runs, 90 RBIs, and you have a OPS of 866, slugging 523. We're talking about Big Bush, Michael Bush. Um, A plus for me, man. Michael Bush is that guy we've been waiting to, take the throne of first base. We had Frank Schwindel, we had all Eric Hosmer, Matt Mervis, the list, Patrick Wisdom, the list goes on of first basemen that have tried to take what Anthony Rizzo created and make it his. And Michael Bush did it, man. I mean, Michael Bush has the most home runs by a first baseman of the Chicago Cubs in quite some time. I love it, man. I love it for this organization. I love it for him because, to be able to get him from the Los Angeles Dodgers, if Michael Bush was on the Dodgers right now, there'd be a serious problem in the league. What are you giving Michael Bush today for the 2025 season?
hey, easily. Yeah, I mean, what he did during the regular season, um, and you look at what he did in the postseason. I mean, it's his entire approach. He's just so in control of every single at bat.
Mhm.
And I was at, it's just, I've seen a lot of Michael Bush home runs this year, and his home runs at Wrigley. It's just been great, man. It's just,
Yeah.
it's an A. It's an A. He's in complete control of every single at bat, and he's also a pleasant surprise. Another one of those moments where the Cubs are like, you know what, this guy is good. A lot of you probably don't know him. Give it time and watch, and
Right.
and, and I'll give credit to Jed for that. So,
Because you
hey,
you and I even talked about this over the offseason. I was like, hey man, Pete Alonso or Michael Bush? And I said Pete Alonso at the time. And I think now I'm going into it. Well, defensively, Michael Bush is light years above Pete Alonso. And
yes,
understandably, like obviously Pete is going to hit more home runs, but Michael Bush, when it matters most, really is that guy. So
yeah,
I'm very, very, very proud of what Michael Bush was able to do.
yeah,
Now
very
I want to talk
satisfying.
about Mr. Suave. I want to talk
Mm,
about nickel and dimes really quick. We're gonna go back to back with both of them. Nico Suave, Nico Horner himself, 6.1 WAR in 2025. To put that in perspective, he's right up there with guys like Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani, the best second baseman in baseball, in my personal opinion. You have a 297 batting average in 2025, 599 at bats, 7 home runs, which honestly towards the second half of the year, towards October, even in October, hit his first career home run in October. I mean, Nico Horner had some pop in his bat in the second half of this year. I understand it's just a 7, but I mean, it's a lot more than I
yep,
anticipated from him. 29 stolen bases, 61 RBI, 7 home runs, a 297 batting average, OBP of a 345, slugging 394, OPS 739. What you're not going to see is with runners in scoring position, Nico Horner is batting over 300. He has the best numbers with defensive
yeah,
runs stopped. He is the best second baseman in baseball. Former Gold Glover, will be a Gold Glover this year, undoubtedly.
yep,
I'm giving him an A plus plus plus. We're gonna save the end for our MVPs, but just know
yeah.
Nico Horner is my MVP of the 2025 Chicago Cubs.
Not a doubt,
But
not a
Miles,
doubt, not a doubt.
where are you at right now with Nico Horner? What do you grade him?
Uh, a triple plus,
Mm,
extend him, give him what he wants, and you keep him around.
Mhm.
The player that you look at that you want in your lineup every single day. And I don't even think it matters where you put him either. He's going to produce.
Mhm.
Also his style of hitting is just he's very contact oriented, very line drive oriented. Great, amazing. That's great, especially for playing at a place like Wrigley that's been a little bit tough
Mhm.
offensively for a lot of hitters over the past 2 years, right? Oh my God, I Nico Horner is an A plus plus. He is the
Yeah.
top. He is the top. He's what I want in my Chicago Cub.
Nico Horner, and I got the honor and privilege to interview him about Ryan Sandberg at the National. Um, and him and
Wow.
I were talking afterwards, and I said, "Hey, man, I hope you take this in a positive way." And I don't think there's a negative way to take it, but like it's kind of like a weird kind of statement. I said, "You are the next Rhino for this ball club," and he was like,
Yeah.
"What do you mean?" And I was like, "The way you carry yourself on the field, the way you fight for these guys, man. Every single time I see him run out of the dugout at a 120 start." I see Ryan Sandberg and Nico Horner. Now the home runs aren't there, obviously,
Yes.
very different players. Um, but I love it, man. I love what we're doing. Now we just talked nickel. Let's talk dimes. Not as great. Dansby Swanson, man. I'm gonna let Miles go. Miles, let's talk about
I love
24 home
Dansby, bro.
runs, 244 batting average, 77 RBIs, 20 stolen bases, but batting less than his weight with runners in scoring position in 2025. I mean, what do you think?
I love Dansby. I love Dansby. So I mean, bro, I'm okay with him driving in 7. He had 20 stolen bases. He had a 717 OPS. Look,
Mm,
what are we expecting out of Dansby Swanson offensively? Not much, right? So I am not mad at his numbers offensively. There's really not much I'm expecting from Dansby Swanson, right?
mhm.
Dansby, a B. Give him a B. Defensively, he is a wizard. He's one of the best. The fact that isn't he like not a Gold Glove finalist or something like that? That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
That's
A lot of
crazy.
I think we had a
Um,
few
he,
errors in 2025 that I think kind of kept us out of that category, but for the most part, I feel like you can trust Dansby, man. But it's just
fair.
for me, it's the runners in scoring position, brother. Whenever I see someone on second base with Dansby Swanson coming up to, and here's where it is at the end of the day, because I watched Dansby his entire career in Atlanta. Now I didn't watch him as a Diamondback prospect and like as early on, but like I watched him in Atlanta. If he is your fifth or sixth best bat, I think you're in a really great place. But at the end of the day, I think for Dansby Swanson to be the second highest paid Cub of all time, and I'm
Yeah,
dreading to see him come up. I mean, I think it's really concerning for me. I definitely think it's one of those things where at the end of the day, man, like we can feel how we want to feel, but you gotta put the ball in play. I mean, Dansby Swanson, double double or not double double. Pardon me, I'm in basketball mode. Double play machine. I mean, you love him defensively, but
yeah.
I think at the end of the day, man, you just got to see more offensively. And I know that's not his game, so it's unfortunate, but that's kind of where I'm at. Uh, I'll give him a C because 24 home runs is 24 home runs at the end of the day. But when there's solo shots, I mean, I need more. You know what I mean?
There was a lot of solo shots. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of solo shots. Next up, I want to talk about the kid who a lot of people had a lot of questions about going into this season, and especially really going into that second half. Matthew Shaw. Matt
Hmm.
Shaw, 393 at bats, 13 home runs, 226 batting average, 44 RBIs, 17 stolen bases, OPS of a 690, 3.1 WAR. The best defensive third baseman the Cubs have seen in quite some time. So for me, I think what I'm getting from from not Matthew, pardon me. Let me stop calling him Matthew. What I'm getting from Matt Shaw right now is a solid B plus. I'm giving him a B plus because I think he was amazing. I think he did incredible. I think there was a lot of different things we could say about the 2025 season, but there is not a moment where I questioned Matt Shaw. Now we lost Miles for a couple seconds. If you're listening to this on Spotify, he'll be back in a couple seconds. It's very interesting to see what happened. Miles said that Wi-Fi went out in the office. So we'll wait for Miles. We'll see what's up. We'll try to get him back in here before the end of it. I'll kind of keep going on Matt Shaw. But yeah, Matt Shaw, man, defensively, I mean, he was just incredible. He was lights out. I think there were moments where there's little learning curves, but I think for the most part, Matt Shaw was absolutely incredible. So I'm gonna give Matt Shaw a B plus. I think he earned that. Offensively, I think it's going to come. I think a lot of people expect Matt Shaw to have a Chris Bryant caliber rookie season. That's just not realistic. What you want to see is him very comfortable in the hot corner, really adjusted to the position that he just started playing a couple years ago. This is a guy who played second base and shortstop his entire career. Cubs have him moved to third, and he's been lights out ever since. The rest is history. 13 home runs for Matt Shaw. I'll take it. Second half of the year, he was pretty great. Playoffs. Playoffs were tough. I did get to see his first hit in October, but that was game 4 of the NLDS. So what is that? 8 games into the playoffs. Got to see more from him in October if you really want to show up and show out. Wish we had Miles for this one, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll text him right now, see if we're gonna get him back. Slide back. Let me know if you can slide back. Is that a good text? I hope so. We're gonna go next. Next up, I wish Miles was here because he knows I'm not the biggest fan. Ian Happ. 4.0 WAR, 569 at bats, 23 home runs, 243 batting average, 79 RBI, 6 stolen bases, slugging 762, 120 OPS plus. I think for me, man, a 420 slug, by the way. I'm gonna give Ian Happ a C minus. I'm giving him a C minus because, like I said, man, I think we're at that crossroad with Ian Happ, especially because of the arrival and emergence of guys like Owen Casey and Kevin Alcantara and Pete Crow Armstrong. You really just got to find out what you're doing with them. I think I was very frustrated at times, especially with the lineups and him not being moved down in the lineup. Craig kind of just trusted him with that. And that for me was insanely frustrating. I think that's something we're still trying to figure out right now is what the future holds for him because he still has 1 year left on his deal and a no trade clause. So it's not like you can just ship him off. It's got to be mutual. I'm going to give Ian Happ a C. I think there's definitely times Ian Happ kind of just clocks in and clocks out. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. I think he clocks in and clocks out a lot. Next up, Pete Henry Crow Armstrong, PCA, arguably the MVP of the 2025 Chicago Cubs, makes his first All-Star appearance. He will be a Gold Glove finalist. He had a 6.0 WAR in 2025, 591 at-bats, stayed healthy, 31 home runs, over 35 stolen bases, 247 batting average, 91 runs, 95 RBIs. Like I said, he had a 30-30 season, first one since Sammy Sosa, 768 OPS, 481 slug, 118 OPS plus. I mean, Pete Crow Armstrong was incredible. I mean, and not only incredible, but I think for me, man, watching him go from a boy into growing into the man he's becoming has been incredible. I think I had a lot of questions about him when he first came into the organization. And just really figuring out who Pete Crow Armstrong is. You know what I mean? And what you see from a man is exactly what you get. And I've met him personally at the National, and we had an amazing conversation. I think he is a great person, a great human being. Saw what he was able to do for the guys in the bleachers. You know what I mean? You saw what he was able to do for the kid with the lemonade stand who wanted to dye his hair just like him with the stars in the bleached hair. I think it's incredible, man. I think it's really dope. I'm going to give PCA an A on and off the field. I think he represents what it means to be a Chicago Cub. They offered him an extension. He declined, rightfully so, and he banked on himself. And I think he definitely made the right decision. PCA, one of the best players in baseball. If you haven't watched him already, exactly who we thought he was going to be. I think for me, the coolest part about PCA is I was there for his first game covering the Iowa Cubs as media, drove all the way down there because it was his first game in AAA. Got to see him hit a grand slam, and you knew right off the rip that was exactly who he's going to become. You know how talented this kid is. And to see him come up and struggle and to see him really just, go over 10 in September and 23 and kind of just trying to find his footing in 24 and really just let it loose in 25. I mean, it's incredible to see him this comfortable. It's incredible to see everything you have seen him do at the lower level kind of come into existence in the big leagues. I think a lot of people can, have success in AAA, but it's that difference between AAA and the big leagues that really just makes or breaks your career. And I know that's an obvious statement, but it's really that simple at the end of the day. It's that black and white. So yeah, PCA gets an A from me. Last couple we're going to go through. I'm going to start with Seiya Suzuki. I'm going to give Seiya Suzuki an A. I think Seiya Suzuki had an incredible year. Seiya Suzuki went into this year not happy about being the DH. I feel like obviously we kind of heard him say I'm a right fielder. I really, it is what it is. A tough end to the 2024 season for Seiya. 571 at bats, 2.6 WAR, 32 home runs, which is I believe is a career high. 103 RBIs, an 804 OPS, a 478 slug, a 130 OPS plus, a 326 OBP. Seiya was on fire. Seiya was incredible the entirety of the 2025 season, and I couldn't be more proud of him. I think that's what we've been waiting for. He was a dark horse MVP for this team and for this ball club, and for him to be comfortable with that DH role, man, I couldn't be happier. And honestly, even in October, he made some pretty solid plays defensively against the Padres and really was beating the allegations that he's a bad outfielder. He's a gold glove outfielder in Japan. And he looked a lot better in the instances that he was in for the majority of the season. Finally, we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about the Cubs bench in another episode because we did lose Miles. But I'm thinking we're going to rock out with a solid B minus for Kyle Tucker. 500 at bats, 4.5 WAR, 22 home runs, 266 batting average, 73 RBIs, an 841 OPS, a 143 OPS plus, a slug of a 464. I mean, Kyle Tucker was solid. 22 home runs, 73 RBIs, 25 stolen bases. Like I said, Gold Glove caliber defense in right field. But I feel like that second half really kind of diminished things for Kyle Tucker. I think there's a lot of conversations about the injury, the severity of the injury. Obviously, you have the calf injury and the hairline finger fracture. There's a lot that went into that, man. But I'm gonna give him a solid B minus. I think he was a guy who I was willing to give a blank check to in the first couple months of the season, but towards the end, especially in October, you have a lot of questions about Kyle Tucker. So we're going to get into that with Miles, though. I don't want to do too much without him. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate you guys listening to episode 1 of Blue Line Radio. If you like this, please leave us a 5-star review. Please hit that follow button if you haven't already and check us out. We're going to be on all social media platforms. We'll see you guys next week. Until then, peace.